what's up, everybody? Family, welcome to the family. It's good to see everybody joining us today. It's another beautiful day that God has given us, man, and we have all the reason to celebrate, because we're still here. We're still standing, regardless of everything that is happening in the continent, regardless of what we're going to talk about here today. But, it's another chance, another shot. We have to come here to discuss, to talk about critical things that are very crucial and very important to our continent. I'm not here alone. I'm here with my brother and my friend. I call my friend Anton Whitehead. He's right here with us, and we're just gonna dive into this episode of Radical Truth. And this is episode number 3. We have the first one, we have the second. So if you haven't got a chance to watch, please go and check it out. This is the 3rd episode. But also, I'll ask you guys one thing before we begin. That guys, what you see here, right here on the screen, I've written One Africa right now, signed the petition. All right, that is just to remind you guys that we have the petition that is going on right now. Oh, I love that music in the background. It feels like victory is right here. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel like, victory is happening already. All right, guys, in the comment section, I have that link of One Africa right now. So please, before we begin this session today, I want us to be very practical, because we ain't doing this thing for just, just talk. No. We are very practical about this. So go and sign the petition. Right now, we already have 1,400 and something and 71 signatures, but we need 100 million signatures, all right? The journey still continues every single day. It's like a new day here in Swahili Nation, One Africa, SNOA. So please go and leave your signature there. Read the petition. We are demanding One Africa right now is to all Africa heads of states, the African Union and Pan-African Parliament. That's what we demand. Please go. You can take a time to read and to understand, but also leave your signatures there. After you read, sign. After you sign, you can share with your friend, with your beloved one, with your family. I can do that. We have a lot of people who have been doing that, but what we do is not enough. That means every single day we need to share. Every single day we need to share and share and share and share. It's very, very important to see the Africa we want. So please do that. And help me this out. As you're joining us right now, we're going to have a very important conversation here. Please leave the like. You can like this stream. It's very important for YouTube algorithm. It helps us to actually, for them to distribute our live stream to different people. If you like this stream, if you share, that would be amazing. Invite a lot of people to come in here and to just see what we're discussing about and to actually contribute as well. You guys have a chance to contribute, and it's going to be amazing. As I said, I'm not here alone. I'm here with my brother, Anton Whitehead. I'm just going to raise a word of prayer before I bring him in and begin this conversation. God, I thank you for today, for giving us a chance and a time to sit down and to talk about this beautiful continent we love and to find solutions to all the issues that we're facing. We invite you here in this conversation, and most importantly, help us, God, with all the clarity and wisdom to be able to deliver what really is going to be helpful to us and to this continent. Everything we do is for your glory. So we invite you here in your precious name, Christ, we pray. Amen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, let me take this moment to welcome my brother, Anton Whitehead. My brother, welcome. Abantu.
Thank you. And pleasant good afternoon to you again, brother. Shalom. It's a privilege, and I appreciate this opportunity to share with you.
Yeah. So finally, we have already decided that we'll be doing this podcast every single week, Radical Truth, because it's really needed to have that. The lies that are out there on the media, it's a lot. So we need platform like this where we can just come and exchange our truth. And one of the things that we were talking here before this live stream, that this is very interesting setup, because my brother right here is he's 60 years of age and I'm 30 years of age. So basically we have two generations here. All right. Not only that, but also my brother right here, he's from the Caribbean. So he was born and lived for such a long time in the outside of the continent, but he is an African descendant. And for me, I was born and live here in the continent. So we have diaspora and also we have a local African as well. But not only that, also my brother, he has been living in Tanzania for the past 2 years. Also, he visited Africa a couple of years back in Nigeria and western side of Africa. And me as well, I lived outside for 9 years. I was a diaspora somewhere. So I understand what it means to be somebody living outside of your continent. And also he
Yes.
understands what it means to live inside of the continent. So basically we have two generations. We have two, people. We have everything, but we are one. We're having this conversation, talking as
Yes.
a two different generation, two different people from two different backgrounds, but one
Yes.
single identity that we share with one another is that our Africanness. And so we can have this conversation to desire change to the entire continent. And this is just tell you that everything is possible because we are having it right here, right now.
Yes. I want to add something to that as well. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm very proud of course, my African ancestry and identity, but also apart from being a Caribbean, a person from an African of Caribbean background, I'm also of African American background, as my mother was African American. My father was born and raised in New York, but grandparents went to the States when they were young. And so I have lived in the United States for 13 and a half years and lived in the Dominican Republic for 9 years. And of course, lived all my life, apart from those two instances, in the Caribbean. I've traveled across the United States twice to 35 different states before I was 20. So I got, so I'm an African American, Afro-Caribbean, African Israelite.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if I can summarize.
It's so basically we have the entire world in this session.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Because
yes.
we can find all kind of roots and all of them are here, and that's why I feel like
I can
this
relate.
is really,
Yes.
exactly. And one thing I just want to shout out to everybody who is joining. I've received a lot of feedbacks from the people,
Yes.
especially through this radical truth.
Really.
A lot of people, they seem to love you so much, Mr. Anton
Really.
Whitehead. And
Oh,
yes, and I
okay.
love that. I love that a lot. And that's why, before we did not have this vision to do this every single week. But I
Okay.
think everything that we say here, things that you share, they've been
Okay.
resonating with a lot of people out there. So I'll be able even to connect you with some of the diaspora who actually
Okay.
wants to move here in the continent, wants to move here
Sure.
Tanzania, and they want to be connected with you.
Okay.
Because in some way, when you're having this conversation, everybody sees themselves through you or through me, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they
Right.
feel like, oh, I think these are people in the continent right now. So if I move there, these are people I can trust. These are people that I can connect
It's
with.
important.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So
It's
that's
important.
really good to know that this podcast has actually been helping people and really talking to the people.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I do look at the comments when I can,
Yeah.
but there's so many I can't keep up. And
Absolutely.
I'm happy for the privilege. It is a privilege to be able to share a little bit about
Yeah.
my experiences and background and my perspective, and hopefully we find common ground.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just dive in right away to topic.
Okay.
We're gonna have 1 hour session, guys. I'm not gonna stay here for long, but we're gonna have 1 hour session. I want to shout out to Sophia Led Joseph. I actually had a conversation with her yesterday, straight from the US. She called me and we
Okay.
had a conversation. Shout
All
out for
right.
you to the membership. She became a member of the family. Thank you for your
Okay.
generosity. For others, if you want to become members, you see the button of join on our YouTube channel. Join there and become part of this. All right, this is going to be a very interesting conversation. And first thing that I want to talk about, I want to just ask you a little quick, because we know last year we had a BRICS summit. I wanna hear your recap from what you saw. I mean, we shared a lot of videos from that summit, and even we posted the summit as well. I just want to hear your thoughts about what happened, and then we can jump into talk about other stuff. I know we have spoken a lot about BRICS, but I would really want
Yes.
to hear your stand on that and what you've seen, what have you seen, and radical truth. Remember, it's radical truth, and to just share
Yes.
your radical truth about it, and then we'll move forward.
Well, BRICS, on one level, my own take on it, based on what I've seen and what I've read, and you know, this BRICS realignment of countries didn't start last week or last month or even last year. This has been a ongoing development for some years now. So what it is it seems to be, on one level, a reaction to and a response to a world that is dominated by the United States and the United States currency. Since the United States currency has been the currency of the reserve currency, meaning the currency that countries use to conduct international trade. America is actually going down, if I can use a common phrase. It's not the superpower that it used to be. And so China has come up with its own version of superpower status, which they feel requires an alignment of different countries that would instead shift away from trading with the US and using the US dollar, and actually come up with a system, an alignment of countries that is not dominated by the United States or the West, but it's a coalition of countries that agreed to do trade and to use some currency that will be tied to gold. And on the surface, the way it's being presented to the whole world is that it is a more fairer, more equitable, more beneficial system or arrangement than what is called the Bretton Woods economic model, with the United States and London dominating. But that's on the surface. And yes, one can find benefits to what is called a multipolar world, not a unipolar world, meaning not a world dominated by one country, okay, or one block of countries that are based in Europe. Something can be said positively for having China, Russia, South Africa, Brazil, India, and now Ethiopia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, I believe, and other countries. That is good, and that's fine. My issue with BRICS, though, my issues with BRICS are twofold. There is benefit to being a member of BRICS. However, as Africans, both on the continent and the sixth region, which are the African groups or African countries outside, or African people outside of the continent, we need to have unification as our priority among ourselves. Political, economic, all right, unification. And if you ask me what I want to see, at the end of the day, I want to see a united Africa into a federation or a country with nation states serving as part of one unit. BRICS doesn't help us to do that. What BRICS offers for many of us is a shortcut, an easy route in our own minds to prosperity. But that's on the surface. Below that system called BRICS, there are two things that are happening, in my opinion. And one is China is presenting itself as a fairer and a more just superpower. But you just have to look at China and the way China treats its own citizens. You have to look at the lending practices of China in Africa, in India, and the way they lend money and the way they take the same money that they lend you, that you have to pay back, and pay their employees, and they take the money back to China. To know that China is just the other side of the same coin. Now, this is a very uncomfortable thing for many people to hear, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. What I'm trying to say is that we in the diaspora, but more so on the continent, we have this tendency to say, okay, the way forward is partnering with people who are not Africans, who we perceive to have power and wealth and progress and development. And we point to, in the case of China, the rapid, relatively speaking, rapid development of China over the past 20, 30, 40 years. And we see them as a role model. When China is not the role model, the United States is not the role model, Europe is not the role model, there's no role model for Africa or outside of Africa. And we have that. The second thing, and the one that is most radical, that most people are not prepared to even discuss, but I will just touch on it, is that we think that China is its own country. Many people think that America is its own country, and Europe, the European Union, are their own individual countries in terms of sovereignty and control. The reality, the truth is, okay, if you dare to accept it or look into it and research it, there is a hidden power that controls and have always controlled the United States, but increasingly has controlled the United States leading into the current times. And that same power that controls the United States controls China, believe it or not. I will not call names today because this is YouTube. And I'm telling you, if I was to start saying in detail what I know about this hidden power, your channel will be deleted. And because you're my brother and I love you and I'm responsible, I will not. But I want to tell you, our listening family, our viewing family, that there is a hidden power that's responsible for the alphabet agenda, that's behind the BRICS alignment, and they stand to gain. China is fronting for that hidden power. And I would think I will leave it at this point for now. I think I've said enough to whet your appetite.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. People they know, man. I've been speaking about this for a while. Even the videos that we're releasing today as well. We're talking about that. I really wanted to know your take, and I appreciate for that. Remember, this is radical truth. So we say things as it is, and if somebody's offended, just look at the title. If you're offended, this is an unapologetic, all right, truth, radical truth. So that's how we carry on. All right, my brother, I want us to move on from that topic and to just leave it right there, because everybody now can judge for themselves. I want us to move a little bit to talk about Niger. I want us to talk about the first topic that we spoken about in the comment. A call for unity and solidarity with Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea, and other Francophone countries in their fight against colonialization. So, for me, I think, when you leave the side of western part of Africa, the other side of Africa, talking about East, I'm not sure about North, but East and South, we've been talking a lot about Western countries, specifically we've been talking about America and UK and other countries, but we haven't really been addressing about France. But Western part of Africa, these Francophone, what we call Francophone countries, have been talking about that for a while, and I think the tension hasn't been there because, you know, they're speaking French. So most of us, we did not understand what was going on and all this stuff. We did not get details until right now. And a few years ago, when, you know, they started to raise up, you know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot just sit and expect other people to fight for you if you're not fighting for yourself. And with that, an example we have seen in this side of Western side of Africa, this country rising up, and there's an agenda in Africa to get rid of France out of Africa, to kick them out of Africa, and we are seeing it by action. The other day in Niger, they gave 48 hours to the ambassador of the United States to evacuate, to leave Niger. And
you mean the French ambassador?
Ambassador, yeah, French ambassador. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And what happened is, France, they reply to them and saying that you have no authority to kick us away, to get rid of our ambassador. You have no authority. So basically, France, they're saying that, hey, you don't have authority over us. You cannot kick anyone. I mean, our ambassador to leave the country. The one that had an authority, you guys kidnapped him. Basically, they have an authority over him. So basically, they're saying that we have authority over you guys, that you cannot do anything about this. You're still there, and you know, you can't do anything about it. And in 20 hours, I was looking at the news that is still there. Like, you know, French ambassador stays in Niger. That's the statement came from France. It shows how vulnerable we are and how weak in a way that we are, that regardless of what we say, but they're not willing to take an action. And I think this call for unity that we're talking about is the call of unity for, first of all, Francophone countries. And second, that means anyone that has been affected by France, basically the whole Africa, and also the entire continent of Africa. Because if these countries that are still having France system operating in their countries, if they come together and they say, no, enough is enough, you guys are out of here, the rest of Africa will do exactly the same thing. And we see that is what is happening, you know, right now in Africa, kicking these guys out. What will it take? What will it take for us to get rid of France here out of the continent? We can talk about other people, but first of all, these guys, because these guys have been doing a lot of evil things in Africa. A lot of evil for many. Before after during colonialism and after, they haven't really left. So they've been pretty much colonizing Africa throughout the time, and they benefit a lot from it. So what would it take for us to really, get rid of these guys?
So we come back to the foundation of our problem as a people. And this rising of this liberation movement that has arisen in the Francophone countries, in some of the Francophone countries, is exposing the reality that we are now faced to confront once and for all. We cannot pretend that the reality that we are forced to confront doesn't exist, because it exists. And the reality is this: because we are fragmented, we are divided by national boundaries, because we've been socialized through colonialism to see ourselves as different people, different interests, competing interests. France, just one example, but France has been able to exploit that by design to have their way with the continent, its people and its resources, specifically those countries that they coerced into signing this new colonial agreement that they forced them to sign. What it will take is a mindset change on the continent. And let me say this: it will also require a mindset change by diasporans as well. No matter which part of the diaspora you live, whether it's Europe, the Caribbean, or the United States, or Latin America, or anywhere else, we have to recognize and we have to communicate clearly to France and any other non-African people group that when you touch one African country, when you mess with one, you've messed with all of us. You see, France can tell Niger what they said. We are not leaving. We don't recognize you as a legitimate government because of the coup d'etat. Our guy, they wouldn't say our guy, of course, but our puppet, of course, they wouldn't say our puppet, but our democratically elected president is the legitimate official and person with authority to tell us to leave or to stay, right? If the president that was overthrown was someone who was, they deemed a dictator, or they deemed, even though elected, they deemed someone who doesn't work for their interests, their narrative would have been, oh, we're not leaving because we want to protect human rights. We want to protect the people. But in this case, the coup d'etat was done by people, young men who recognize that their country is suffering, and the people themselves have aligned themselves with the so-called coup leaders to say, listen, whatever election you say we had that elected this gentleman, not a gentleman, this guy, this president, we don't know who elected him because he doesn't serve our interests. He doesn't represent us. We are, at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, government is supposed to be about us and our interests, not France's interests, not Nigeria's interests, not the president of Nigeria's interest, not anybody's interest but ours. And we have saying we are with the guy. So France can only say what they're saying and doing what they're doing because there isn't an uproar across the continent. There needs to be an uproar across the continent. There needs to be an uproar across the sixth region, which is the region outside of Africa where we live as African descendants. We need to take measures, and I can tell you measures we can take to bring pressure on them. But let me say this to you, my dear brother.
Yeah.
We're talking about France, but we're not only talking about France, believe it or not. Just today, the European Union said that they stand with France. You see, they have the unity that we need to have. They're saying, France, we back you.
Wow.
You're not leaving. We are here to back you in any way possible. You see, that's what we are lacking. They're demonstrating to us what they've always used against us, and we don't have it. And so we are not willing to stand up and fight, most of us. Now, there is a shift. There is a shift that's taking place. And I will say, and I've been saying it, the shift is starting because of the younger generation, your generation. Okay? Because of the internet, because of greater awareness, greater understanding, you've come to realize that, you know what? Our leaders, for the most part, they're not doing as good a job as we would want them to do. I'm being very kind. Okay? With few exceptions, leaders are afraid to stand up to Europe. However, because of the agitation of the young people, more and more leaders are starting to form a backbone and have courage. We need Europe and America, they need to know that Africans are not going to allow this relationship to continue. Niger needs our support. The question is, do we see Niger's problem as our problem?
It's a good one.
That is the question.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it as my problem. I know you see it as yours.
Yeah.
The question is, does We know that the Nigerian people, not the Nigerian president, they see Niger's problem as a problem that can be solved without violence and without European interference. Does Ghana see it that way? Does the Ghanaian president see that? Does the president of Zambia agree? We heard the other day President Ruto, with all due respect, so many positive things he's been saying, but he's saying, oh, for the sake of democracy, we should send forces to do what? We say something back in the Caribbean. You can't talk through both sides of your mouth.
Yeah.
You can't say one thing on one side of your mouth and say something different in the next thing. You have to speak one thing from your whole mouth. It's either you understand who the enemy of Africa's progress is, or you don't understand it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So the question is, do we all see it? Are we beginning to see that we need each other and we need to stand together? We need to stand with Niger and do what it takes to stand with Niger, because EU is behind them, and the country of my birth, I spent 13 months in that country before moving back home to the Caribbean, the United States. They are quiet, but make no mistake about it, they're still there. The military is still there. So they're with France. Are we prepared to stand up? That's the question. That's the question. What do you say to that? Do you see, I'm not talking about government leaders, before I shut up. I'm not speaking to the official, the presidents of the respective countries. My message is for the majority. We're talking about democracy. We're talking about representative government. We're talking about government for the people, by the people, and of the people. I'm talking to the majority of the people in Africa. The youth. Will you stand with Niger? We have another saying back home. Today for me, tomorrow for you. Today is Niger problem. Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea. Tomorrow it might be Ghana. It might be Kenya. It might be South Africa. I don't even want to call your country. The peace that you treasure so much. So the question is, are we prepared to understand that Niger is not alone and cannot be left alone, because they're testing us? Europe and America, they are testing China. France is testing Africans, not just in Niger, all of the continent. They're daring us to understand what is at stake, and they're daring us to take action, to let them know that we are not having it anymore.
Yeah. I've been thinking about what you just said. The news that came out today that EU, they're standing in solidarity with France, that they support everything they do. It is very, those guys, even though, we were sharing here the prime minister of that country, which country, that she was really roasting Macron alive.
Italy.
They know, exactly. They know what Macron have been doing to the continent, but it's their agenda. You know what I'm saying? It's their agenda. That's not a personal agenda, but they also benefit from that, because they know getting rid of Macron, getting rid of France in Africa, they will be next.
It's only the beginning.
They know.
It's only the beginning.
It's only the
beginning. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So right now, and not because they are together with him, but right now it's kind of like they are supporting him, so that our focus it may be just to France. We may not, shift our focus to them, but it's a matter of time. What you said, it's really important that Africans, we need to understand that if EU are standing with France, that hey, we're supporting, full support to whatever you do. Man, it's a time for Africa, African Union, ECOWAS, everybody, every African to be like, okay, to side with our people. But what is sad is These guys are siding with them. The world is turning against Africa, and we know Africa never had friends, that we don't have friends, we'll never have friends. The world is against Africa, and yet some of our people, they're also standing with the rest of the world. And this is what we're talking about. We don't have patriotism, towards our people. We don't care about our own people. We don't care what is happening to our people. It's crazy that you have our organization working against our people, and you see what EU is doing. They didn't have to say that we support you, France. They know that they've been stealing from
Africa.
They know, but still,
they're sending a message, yes.
It's sending a message. They're supporting their thieves. And basically, it's scaring Africans that, we're behind this. If you try to do anything, not only friends, we're going to come for you as well. But Africa, what is the message we Africans are sending? What is the message Africa collectively are we sending to them? Because we better send a message to them that all you guys are them, they should step up, that we are with Niger. All countries in Africa, each country should stand and be like, I am with the people of Niger. I am with them. If you guys are with France, I'm siding with Niger. Now it's the time for you to get out of here. That's the message we need to hear from Africa. But this fear of the unknown and this, so much corruption, and we've been, depending on them for so long time, we cannot even make a stand. And then you have President like Ruto standing and say that we need to restore the democracy in Niger. Do you know what has been happening in Niger? That's one.
What democracy? Right. Exactly. What democracy they're talking about?
That country don't need democracy right now. They need to survive. That's not what is needed to the continent. Like, if you start talking about democracy, that is their agenda. That's not our priority. Like today, start talking about LGBTQ agenda in Africa. That's not our priority. That's not part of our culture. So talking about democracy in Niger, it's not the topic of right now. No, it's okay. No. How are they going to move forward with what they have? Because clearly what they have right now is best for them. Because people, just 2 days ago, they came outside to celebrate 1 month regime of the military regime in Niger. Right. They came out to celebrate. A lot of people, thousands and thousands, 100,000 people. Yes. They came, and then today you come and say something else. Otherwise, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that.
Exactly. Yeah. We can learn from that. We can learn from that. You see, we can learn. All of us should pay close attention and learn from that. Now, these people are not having it easy. They're not having it easy. This 1 month celebration is not because their problems disappeared when the coup leaders took over the country, the military took over the country. It's not because already difficult living conditions improved in the month. No, they're celebrating because there's something even more valuable than a higher standard of living or the conveniences of life. And that is human dignity and sovereignty, okay, and love of country. People have hope that if they stand with these young leaders, all right, their voice will be heard and they will begin to benefit from an emerging economic system that will provide opportunities for development using their own resources. The problem is the West, Europeans, Americans, people in the West, even the average Joe in the West, can sit by and make excuses for why countries that are wealthy with natural resources should suffer poverty and lack of development, lack of unemployment. And then in the West, people like to say, oh, it's only because of corruption on the part of government officials in African countries. It is much more deeper than that. The corruption is across the board, all right? The exploitation is across the board. What we have in Africa and even in the Caribbean, what we have is a tendency for the people who want power at all costs to sell themselves and sell their people for political power so they can have access to money so that they can enjoy their lives. We tend to tolerate cowards, sellouts, who want to pass as leaders. And now young people are having it, are seeing it a different way. They're saying, oh, that way has not worked for our parents. That way has not worked for our grandparents. And it's not working for us. If we want to see progress in Africa, we now have to take our rightful place and find out what we can do. And this is what I'm hoping to challenge our people to do. We need to ask ourselves, how can we do for ourselves? What do we need to do to have the leadership that we deserve? All right? And we can find examples on the continent for people who have demonstrated what true leadership looks like. We have leaders now who are stepping up, all right? I don't think that they're fully aware of what we're up against, but they're starting to stand up and to speak out. But soon we have to do the needful and take action to unify Africa. We don't have 40 years to unify. My brother, I don't see you. I don't know if you're there. I'm talking because I don't see you.
I'm listening to you. You're there.
Oh, okay. So we don't have the 40 years that the African Union is presented to us in the 2063 plan. I'm not saying this to disparage or discredit the African Union. I'm just saying that I don't believe that our African Union, if it is indeed ours, and most of our leaders, political leaders, are aware of what is really going on, what is really at stake. I don't think they understand. We have until 2030 to stop what they are doing to Africa and have been doing to Africa, because they're coming for the whole of Africa. And so right now, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, even Chad, all right? These Francophone countries, we need to support them. We need to see any resistance to their push for liberation, true liberation, any resistance to that, any opposition to that. We need to oppose the opposition to the liberation, because their liberation is our liberation. If we don't see it that way, if we continue to see this thing along tribal lines across national boundaries, we start seeing this thing as, well, that's a different country. That's not my trouble. Yeah. We are wrong. It is our trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys who are joining here, we want to appreciate you guys for joining. Don't hesitate to leave, the like button on this stream, and also can share with friends. We're still, diving into this topic. And also, if you have any question, please don't hesitate to drop down. We have 15 minutes left to end this session. So please let me read. There's one question here. I'll read for you. If Mali and Burkina Faso become one nation, then incorporate Niger into the one large nation. Is that possible? Let me start answering this. What we are suggesting when we're saying one Africa, if that is what people want, good, beautiful, it's amazing. Like, even what we want is like Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda to unite to be one country today, to have one president. That's beautiful, good, do that if that's what you want. But what we suggest is the unity, what we see right now. Like, for example, you see Mali and Burkina Faso, they've been standing out with Niger. They say, we're with you guys, whatever you need, we're your brothers. Mm-hmm. That's kind of unit we are talking about, that, I don't need visa to come to your country or visa to come, like really open space. It's basically one family, but the system, whatever system that we have, it can still run the same way it is, or we can take one step at a time. But, this is kind of unit that we are suggesting right now, practically, because we believe this is possible to achieve right now. And then as we move forward, that's when you can figure out. So having like one Africa, we could have one leader of Africa, like, African Union, but also all these countries, it's like states. Oh, you can still have your president in your country, but these guys, you have this body of the entire continent that is overseeing everything that is happening in Africa. So if you're president of your own country, you're not going to be able to decide anything without this boss. So basically, we're taking power from our leaders and we are putting somewhere there at the center where we can manage the entire continent, right? And we need to have someone that we trust. We need to have someone that is really there for the people. And that's why I also suggested that for us, in order to achieve that, then we need to fund African Union by ourselves with our own money, because that means we'll have a say. That means we are in control. Whoever feeds you controls you, right? Right now, ECOWAS and AU are not operating for us because they're receiving income from somewhere else. So for us, we need to take that power back. And take power back is us focusing on the money. Wherever there's money, there's power. So these guys, they know that in order for us to control and to lead Africa, we need to give them money. And we know this is the issue. We know this has been an issue for a long time. So we take it back. We take back our power by us donating and supporting African Union, or supporting all these organizations that we have, us donating and doing that. Us doing that is actually taking power back. So whoever leader you're going to have there, he has no other choice than to work for us. Because right now, that's what they do. They basically work mostly for their interest, for the interest of those who are supporting and donating and giving money to these organizations. So if we give, that means you have no other choice but to work for what we want you to do, right? So we're taking power back. And in that sense, we can really have beautiful and working One Africa that we deserve. What is your thought on that, Anton?
Well, I agree with you. And I know because of the time that we have, both of us, we share our perspective in summary form, not with all the details, because someone listening to us or watching us would say, "Oh, but you guys, you don't have a full plan. You haven't thought. You have a sketchy plan. You're idealistic." No, we doesn't have the time to lay it out. And to be honest with you, YouTube is not the place where you lay out those details. Everybody can see and hear what you're doing. And yeah, so, you have to be pragmatic too. But what we are trying to communicate, and I agree with you, we're trying to communicate is one simple reality, one simple truth. Europe, aka NATO, the United States, they are unified. Yes, they fight among themselves. They have their issues. But when it comes to their policy towards Africa, they hold one head. We cannot say the same thing for Africa. Okay? And we need to change that. We need to change this whole idea of I am a Tanzanian and Tanzania has its own interest. I'm the president of Cameroon, and Cameroon has its own interest, and what's going on in Tanzania is not my business. What somebody's doing to Tanzania is not my business. What people are doing to Kenya is not. No. Until we unify, whether it's a federated states, or whether it's the different regional groups forming subgroups, and then the subgroups form a federal entity. We don't know. We don't want to say what the format should be. That's not the issue. The issue is, are we prepared to see the value of unity, and we're willing to pay the price for unity?
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see it among the majority of the people, but what I do see, I see an awakening and I see a shift among the young people who are starting to agitate for that change.
Yeah.
And so either leaders are going to adjust and become relevant, or be prepared to be pushed out of the way. And I know leaders don't want to hear that, but that's what's going to have to happen. Is either you're going to go with the young people, represent the African population and the interests of Africans across the board, or you step aside or be pushed aside. I'm not calling for revolution, What we need is liberation.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Let me see if there's any other question here, and then we'll round up. Um, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, obey it. This is the quote by someone, Tim, all the way from Kenya. Appreciate. I don't see. Okay. Okay, there's another question here not really related to what we're talking about. All right, there's not really, yeah, there's not really a lot of questions, but somebody here say you go to school, you study this a book, but did they teach you how to make the book?
That's the point. That's the point. I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. And see, that's how much time do we have? We finish? Is it?
No, we still have.
Let me quickly answer. Let me quickly give a response to that. I'm so happy for that person for what they said, because what we're really saying, what we're really outlining, you know, part of this lack of unity issue has a lot to do with our lack of confidence as a people across the board. I'm not saying everyone. I said we're always looking for products from China, products from the United States, products from everywhere else. We don't have confidence in our own ability. You know who has been winning the robotics competitions for the past 4 years? Africans from Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. You know, many inventions, many things that we use today that we consider technology that we assume were invented by people, by Europeans or American whites or what have you, or even Asians. They're actually Africans and African Americans. So we need to do a show on inventions. You know, GPS was invented by a woman, a black woman, for example. Do you know fiber optics high-speed internet was perfected by a Ghanaian? We have the know-how. We have the know-how on the continent and outside. Do you know there's a Zimbabwean, a young man, who used frequencies to create, to power television, to create electricity, to produce electricity
I know that
using
guy.
frequencies?
Yeah, I know. We shared him.
Tried to poison him twice. Yes, I mean, do you know the automatic transmission for the automobile was invented by a black man? The first open heart surgery was a black man. So we know how to do stuff, but we don't believe we do.
Absolutely. And then man, I think
I know the time I know.
even apart from that.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I believe when something is straight like this and short, even its value increases because, you know, time is life, right?
Yes.
And we better spend a lot of time doing things rather than talking. You know what I'm saying? So you guys who are listening here, I really hope that you get these ideas that we are sharing with you guys for you to really ignite the fire inside of you to, you know, go outside there and, you know, to do something, you know. That's basically what we can do. And I'm just grateful that we can, you know, we can have this, you know, radical truth, you know, with my brother to address this kind of stuff and to see that somebody's asking here. And I think maybe this will be really nice, you know, question to end up with.
Okay.
Bernadette says so many talented Africans, why they're not in Africa. And I think for me personally,
go ahead.
That you know, at some point you really need to ask yourself this, that is, what is your purpose? Why are you living? And why are you working? Because if you work for money, then you are a slave to money. Money is your master, right? That's how it is. But why are you really working? Are you finding peace and happiness and joy through your work, or you're just stressed out? And you know, you're soon gonna have ulcers, depressed, and die before your time, simply because of the why. Why are you doing something? So I want to say this very clear that I met people that even me myself, you know, there was a time that I didn't not want to come here home. For example, one of the easiest way that I made money, you know, when I was living outside, it was, you know, through music. Me and my friend would just go to sing somewhere, you know, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, we get $1,000 each. Like it doesn't matter. That was our range. Like if you invite us for one song, this is the amount of money that you guys gonna pay us. And that's something that you cannot do here in Africa if you don't have a big name, right? You're not even gonna get even 500. You will not get that. So it reached the point where I was like, I want to live here, you know, and at least, it's a solid reason. I need this money, you know, to sustain myself and to live a certain kind of lifestyle, right? Uh, you know, but when you know your purpose, then that purpose, you know, it's going to overtake, you know, your even I mean your wants. When you know your need, uh, you are not going to focus on your want. Your need will be your priority, and as you work for your need, then your want will be provided as well. Because you know you cannot really work on your purpose without any provision. It just happened, just like us here we're doing. Yes, it's a rough road. It's not easy road, but you know I'm living. I'm right here. So I think that's one of the challenges that we have. We have our people who are very talented, and you know the opportunities are out there, right? They find more opportunity outside of the continent than here. And when I say opportunity, I mean the job that can provide you a good amount of money. But what I want to rephrase today is that, you know, you don't have to find the opportunity. You are the opportunity. Like you have to know that you are the opportunity. You are the value. You are worth something. You know, not the job you're doing, even if you're hired in Google, Microsoft, Apple. No, what gives value to Apple and Google? Why we say these are the best companies in the world, not because of the company, but because of the people who are working there. It has the best innovator, best engineers, best teachers, best you know, doctors for these institutions to be the best schools, best universities, because of they have the best people. So if you know that and you transfer your you know your mindset, then you realize that okay, if I am the best and my desire to see Africa transformed, Africa becoming the best place for a living, then I need to go back and to make this place the best place for living, because that's what we gotta do. We are the one to change it. We are the one to transform that. And to be honest, we are seeing that happening. We see people
It
like my
started,
brother.
yes.
Yeah, Anton, he is here. He moved here for 2 years right now with his entire family to do something in the continent. We have a lot of people moving back. We have a lot of people in Ghana, in Tanzania, in different parts of Africa. They are moving back to contribute and to do something. And it's just a matter of time. And I believe in this time right now, the wave and a lot of people that will move back in the continent, it's a lot. And let me just ask our
Right.
brothers and sisters that they're in the friends, you guys, you should also come back home. Because most of them, they're coming to the western side of Africa or these francophone speaking countries. These guys, they're the ones that are killing our people and eating our people alive in the continent. Come and let's defend our continent because you know them better than we do. You live with them. You've been raised there.
Thank
Something, yeah.
you.
Come
Thank you
back
for
home.
recognizing that.
Let's fight
Thank
these
you for
guys.
recognizing that.
Yeah, let's fight these
Very
guys
important.
out. They're
Very
killing our
important.
people. We cannot let
Very
that.
important.
Yeah.
Especially now with and well, let's leave that alone. But yes, I agree with you. We'll continue another time with that topic. But yes, we have been with these people for more than 500 years in the Caribbean and Latin America, and more than 400 years in North America. We find it very disturbing and disappointing, but we understand the fact that so many on the continent, the vast majority of people just don't have a clue. Only now we're realizing what we've been living with for those centuries. But we know how to think, we know how to operate, and that's why together, we can build and develop Africa. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
But
guys, we want
can
to
do it.
appreciate you guys for stopping by here today. We're gonna stop here for today. But you know, me and Whitehead will have a lot of conversation. And you know, I'll talk to you, my brother. Like you know, if we'll have a chance and opportunity, we don't need to do this once in a week. We can do even twice, but it depends on
That's
our
fine.
availability and when we
Fine
can
by
do.
me. That's
Exactly.
fine by me.
it is very important. If you're gonna do like this in 1 hour, then we can do even twice. That means we have 2 hours, or 1 hour and a half, then twice we have 3 hours. You know, so
no problem.
Yeah, I'll definitely, reach out to you to talk a little bit about that. But I believe what we have here today, it can really help people for for the time. And yeah, so I really want to appreciate you for being here today.
Thank you so much. And just on a lighter note, and for your benefit from those who are watching, there's no shame. I have no shame about my surname, but I prefer to be referred to, you can call me Tony or Anthony or Akai. It's fine. But
Akai. I love Akai.
Yeah, you like Akai, right? Yeah,
Akai,
that's the maiden name of my great grandmother.
Right,
yeah, she was Akai. So yeah, that's fine. That's why I go by here. Yeah.
All right. That's
I don't like to be referred to as Whitehead, because for obvious reasons. You get the joke.
I will simply call you that because you got Whitehead. I'll simply do that.
But no, man.
I understand you, my brother Kai. Yeah. That is done. All right, man. Appreciate it, man. God bless you. And I'm sending love to you, my brother. Sending love to you.
Yeah, man. Yes. Yeah. Same here. So let's get together again. And like I said, I'm flexible. And let's really address these issues.
Yes. Definitely. All right. I'll hit you up. Appreciate it.
Okay, man. All right, sir.
All right.
I go on this side. Bye.
Appreciate it. So I'm just gonna finish up with the word of prayer, and this thing is good answer today. All right, guys, thank you so much. God, we thank you for this conversation we had today. 1 hour session of just discussing and talking about our lovely continent. We pray that as we navigate this journey towards one Africa in our generation, pray that you may continue to lead us, teach us, guide us, and help us, and bring our people together mostly so that we may continue to stand for your people and for the cause that you have given us. Thank you. We give you glory and honor and praise. In your precious name of Christ we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate for you guys joining us here today. I love you so much. Thank you for all the support and everything. We love you guys. And keep supporting, keep sharing, keep liking.